All right, test 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. We're back. Yes, we are. Welcome to the Creative Spin Podcast, Episode 2, Season 2. We're back, people. We are back. And this week, I'm back with a conversation with Valter Faleja. Valter is a guy that started off in sports, and then life happens, and he goes into health and wellness coaching. I mean, we spoke about a lot of stuff. This is why, it's a long podcast, but trust me, you guys are going to want to watch this from the beginning all the way to the end, because there's so many little gold nuggets, so much good information. You guys have to watch everything. I mean, we talk about mentorship. We talk about how you're going to be able to absorb all of this information that's going around, and how you're going to filter it to make sense in your own life. Makes sense? And then we also touch in how he started a whole new branch of his business during the pandemic called Men of Vitality. This is more geared, obviously, as the name says it all. It's geared more towards men. And honestly, it was just such a great conversation. I did not feel the time go by while I was having this conversation with Valter. Really interesting stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And guess what? I'm just gonna ask you, hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. Anyways, here's the episode. I guess this is recording already. So hey, this is going.
You can put a bar.
Let's start. Valter, thank you for being here in the Creative Spin Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
For accepting this invitation and starting this conversation with me. Now, for the people out there that don't know who you are, give us the mini version of the origin story of Valter. So we know where you came from.
Sure.
And how you got here.
Yeah. So make it miniature. It's funny. Okay. So for me, how I started in this journey that I'm on right now is I was really into sports, super passionate about it. And then I thought that was the way I was going to go into more of the sports realm and, get a scholarship, all that type of stuff. I got injured and it kind of set me back. And it was one of those times in your life where you're challenged and you're like, and I didn't have the tools I have now, obviously, right? Because I'm 17, 18 at the time. And you're thinking, wow, what the hell am I going to do with my life? Because I thought sports was the way to go. But it kind of still led me down this spiritual path, because now I had to start to figure out what my desires are and who I really am beyond this physical realm, the sports guy I was, right?
Yeah, because you kind of, at that age, I can only imagine you have all these goals and all of these, stories set in your head that this is going to be my life. And then all of a sudden, poof, it all goes away.
Yeah. So I had all these offers, different scholarships from different universities in the States. And then once they knew I was hurt, it was done. So it was devastating for me at the time. And then it's okay, so I go on this little journey. I've always been a spiritual person too. So, as a kid. And so I started going and I'm okay, well, I'll get into business. And I took business at Mohawk and I started working at a casino. And I was just yeah, this isn't for me. And it kept on coming up in terms of health and helping people and still sports related. Yeah. So I was okay, then that's when I started going on the path of massage. And I started doing all the other modalities I do, just slowly adding each time. And it's weird how the universe works, because things will just start popping to me. Someone will talk about something, wow, that's really cool. And I'd look into it and I'd connect with it and then I would go get into it. And that's how I got to where I am today, essentially. Just keep on adding, and then built myself up to who I am and built this business I have today.
And let's talk about this business, which, by the way, looks amazing.
Thank you.
And how long ago did you start? When did you start this?
So we've been open for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been in the field of health and wellness for 16.
Okay.
Yeah. So
so that's an interesting thing. So you went out to get the experience.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You felt that was
okay. I thought that was more important first, and not just the hands-on education, but also learning what works and what doesn't. Because there's certain places that I worked that the way they handle clients, the way they handle their employees, the way they handle things, I loved, and certain things I didn't. And I'm yeah, okay, I would never do that if I had my own.
It's interesting and good that you're saying this, because I feel like sometimes there's a perception out there that, I'm straight out of college, I'm going to start my business. And yeah, that might be good.
Sure.
That might work out.
Sure.
But I also believe a lot in the experience in the field. And sometimes it's you're better off having that experience with somebody else than with your own business, because if something goes south, then you're the one to blame.
Yeah, and it's hard to bounce back from it. It really, from even a confidence standpoint. So you start going out there right off the bat and you see, because you don't have the experience. The best way to learn is being mentored.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're a coachable person, and what I call a coachable person is someone who has a high willingness to learn and a high willingness to accept change. If you do not have that at a high level, you're not coachable. And if you're not coachable, you can't, like the saying, it's a Stoic saying where they say, you can't learn something you think you already know, which is very true. Yeah. So if you walk out of school like, oh yeah, but I'm a graduate of blah, blah, blah. And I remember this one guy was like, yeah, I went to Western University and I did this. That's cool. Congratulations. But you still don't know shit. You don't. Until when you start to go into your field and be like, you talk to the head guy who's making X amount, who has achieved your goals, or head woman, whatever, right? Yeah. Who has achieved the goals. That's the person you should be learning from now. Now you have a base because of your schooling, great. But now you need to learn from the master.
Yes.
And once you learn from the master, then you'll get to that point where maybe you can branch off and do your own thing. But you can never learn something you think you already know.
And, you're saying this, and I'm remembering myself when I started my business. I started it, I was still pretty young. And I had, I'm not going to call him a mentor, but somebody that was older than me that was already in the field and was trying to give me advice. Yeah. And my brain was always like, you don't know anything. I know more. Like, I'm younger. Yeah. I will do this better. Yeah. I won't make your mistakes. And I completely disregarded what this person was telling me. Yeah. And now, like 20 years later, I find myself thinking about all of those advices that he gave me back then. Yeah. That I'm like, shit, I should have listened.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we could all fall into that in different aspects of life, whether we're talking about business, relationships, your health, spirituality. There's certain lessons you're going to think back like, wow, I remember my dad said that to me. Or I remember, that teacher said that to me once. And I was just like, oh, what the fuck do you know? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you get older and you're like, no, they were right. Because you're right. Because there's certain aspects when I deal with younger people, because I do coaching, right? So when I deal with some of them, in certain aspects, they do know more than I do. Yeah. And say the technology world. I'm not a technological person at all. Okay? Cool. That's not my expertise in why you're here. Yeah. So there's other aspects you need to learn from me with the knowledge you have. And if you're willing to be mentored, you're going to 10x your life.
Exactly. And I think it's being able to understand that you have your own knowledge, but it's not unique. It's not the only knowledge out there. And we need to know how to listen and absorb. I mean, these are my 2 cents. I don't know if you agree with them or not, but what I've now learned with my life is I listen to everybody, either 18 or 80. Yep. I listen to everybody, but then I filter it. Yes. And I think the secret to all of this is the actual filtering. I don't know if you believe in that too.
Yeah, because it's like if you're going for gold, right? And you get the dirt, and you got to get the dirt out, wash it out, so the gold's there. Yeah. So people are kind of throwing dirt in, and think of like the thing is like the thing you're washing it out with is your mind, right? So you're getting all this information. You need to filter it out and get the golden nugget that's there. So I agree with that. And the other part is, and I like what you said, and I agree with this too, because I teach people this too. It's like life is the greatest teacher, right? 100%. And so it'll be something crazy, like, because I'm so observant. So I was at a wedding. Remember those times when we used to go to events? Good times.
Events.
Good times.
Amazing.
Social things? Amazing. Good times. So going to a wedding, and people were eating, and I think it was like an AC/DC song, to be honest.
Amazing.
Little girl comes out and she is jamming to this song. Absolutely just rocking her head, just owning, and everyone sees it. She's so cute. Yeah. And everyone's clapping for her. She didn't care that people were clapping. She was so in the moment and so pure and so connected to the moment now and enjoying her life that she didn't care that people were watching her clapping. But she was happy. Yeah. And I was like, she didn't give a shit what people thought. She didn't care about anything. And I'm like, that 4-year-old girl just taught me something. That, you know what? It doesn't matter what, if people are watching, or people are going to applaud you, or people are going to think you're stupid for doing it. If you're feeling this jam out.
Yeah.
If you're feeling this moment, feel it. Because that's all that exists right now.
100%. A lot of people will lose track of that.
Mm-hmm.
So in your business, you know, amongst all the other things that you do that we will talk about,
sure.
You just mentioned coaching. And I think this little part that we're talking about, you know, being okay with yourself, being not caring about what other people have to say, that plays a huge role into coaching. Right?
Oh, absolutely. That's massive coaching. That's a big part of the programs.
Where are people most broken nowadays?
That's a great question, actually. I think for me is a couple of things that really stick out that I see the issues with. One, people don't really know what they want, right? They lack a true understanding of goals.
Is it because a lot of let's follow the Joneses, social media?
There is that. And I think there's this, they think they just need the basics. So they're taught, hey, if I finish school, that's a check mark. Because it's one of the boxes you got to do. Okay, I got to get a job. Next. Doesn't matter what the job is. You just got to get a job. Cool. I got to date somebody. Check. I got to marry them. Check. We got to have kids. Check. We need to go on vacation. Check. Buy a home and all that stuff, right? You check these things off and you're like, okay, I've done it all. What's next? But that's it. That's all they're going for. But they're not striving for what they actually want. They don't even know what they actually want. So it's like you're taught, okay, you should be in a relationship, right? Every couple, because I do couples counseling too, right? So I'm like, every couple that I've dealt with, and I ask them, like, what's your goal as a couple? And some of them have logistical goals, like, oh, we want to have X amount of kids or no kids. We want to buy a home in this town and pay it off by this time. Awesome. Very good. But what kind of relationship do you want? And I hear crickets. No idea. They have no idea. So we work so hard because we've been taught to, I got to get this girl. Or I got to get this guy. Cool. And then you get them and you have no fucking idea what to do with this person.
Yeah.
Zero idea.
What I find interesting, and obviously I'm being very generic here, but what I see a lot out there is couples doing amazing before they get married.
Yeah.
So the dates, going out here, having fun, being with friends. It's, wow, life is amazing. They get married, honeymoon, that thing still keeps going, and then it just drops off.
So why do you think, though? Because they have no goals. So their goal was to get that person. That's why they did all those things.
Yeah.
They got them. Now it's like, now you think marriage or a long-term relationship is just, I got to be with you now. And we got to work it. And that's it. Instead of being like, no, let's continue these dates. Let's continue to connect. Let's figure out, like, what's your love language? How do you feel loved? How do you need love expressed to you? Mm-hmm. You know, how do I need love expressed to me? Like, these are things we get into deeper concepts about. But if you're not thinking about it, you're just existing and expecting that to work. I don't care how much you love each other. I don't care if you think you're soulmates or whatever these things you come up with. Yeah. I don't believe in that stuff. I think that's nonsense. I think it makes it worse.
Don't tell that to my wife.
No, and I'll tell you why I don't believe in that. Because people, I'd be like, oh yeah, soulmates. And to me, the definition is you're one soul and you're separated and you come together. Well, I look at that and think, okay, we're all come from one consciousness, right? And technically we're all soulmates. Yeah. And the problem is with that statement, I look at that and think, okay, then you think that person is the only person for you. And then guess what? When shit hits the fan, because you don't have a plan, you don't even know what you're working for, you're going to be like, oh, he can't be my soulmate. Or she can't be my soulmate. There must be something wrong. You stop putting the work in and you bounce. Because you keep on searching for this fictitious
I think the soulmate search, when we're talking about, this is me. I think people are just trying to find another clone of themselves.
Yeah. Which doesn't mean it's a good thing.
It's not.
It's not a good thing.
I wouldn't want to be with myself. I mean,
I do. I'm pretty sexy, so I don't know.
Okay. I don't know. We'll get into this later. But I don't know, man. I think people are always in search of the better, bigger, better, best.
Yes.
And they lose sight to what really matters in life. And when you're talking to people, when you're talking to couples, what is your advice for that search? Like when you tell them, listen, it's all very beautiful, all these things, but you should focus more on this.
Yeah, the focus is the relationship with yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have a great relationship with yourself and with like whatever you believe in, God, Allah, infinite intelligence, universe, it's a higher consciousness, whatever your jam is, fill in the blank. If you have a great relationship with that, you don't even need anybody. You're not in a state of need. You desire somebody. It's a very different thing. So when you fall and work on the relationship and you fall in love with yourself, right? When you're alone, you feel great, right? You do. You don't need anybody there. But you're like, you know what? I want to share my life with somebody. I want to create something with somebody. That's the whole purpose of being with someone. It's not just to say you have somebody. Who cares? Nobody cares. That's silly. And guess what? If you're with a person who doesn't make your life easier and better, then they actually hinder your life. So why would you choose that? That makes no sense to me. Absolutely not. Because I always tell people, like, whether woman or man, doesn't matter. That person's either your rocket fuel or your anchor. Especially a man, like a woman to a man. That woman's either your rocket fuel or your anchor. There is nothing in between. So if she's not your rocket fuel and help you make you a better man, don't even bother. Be alone. Figure out that stuff within you.
Why do you think most people lose sight of themselves? Like lose sight of who they are and what they want to do in life, and like what happens to most people?
So most people, and it kind of originates back to the original question too. So it's like I find most people don't even know who they are. They think, you know, oh, I'm Jamie. I'm my body. Like, because I asked them, well, who are you? Oh, I'm Jamie. Okay, cool.
But you're not a name.
You're not a name. You know, and then you're like, oh, I'm my body. I'm like, no, you don't say hand or head. You say my hand, my head. Who's my? And they're just like mind blown. So I'm like, you're a spirit having a human experience. You're an individualization of God, or whatever. Again, you want to fill in the blank. You're an individualization of God having a human experience through your 5 senses in your body in this 3D reality of time and space. And you're here to learn certain lessons to expand your consciousness and grow. Okay? And in the process, help others as well. That's the whole human experience.
Yes.
Okay? So understanding that and understanding that you're part of something greater than just this flesh suit that you're renting for this lifetime should empower you. It should make you understand that you're a god or goddess walking on this planet. Okay? Because you have the capability to create whatever you want. But what helps you create is your mind.
Yes.
So you're here to master your mind and master and take care of your body because it's the second greatest gift that God gave you. Okay? But that's not all you are. You're not just your skin color. You're not your culture. You're not just your religion. You're not how much is in your bank account. You're not your job. You're not just a dad or a mom. You're not just a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You're not just a daughter or a son.
But you are a sum of all of those things.
You are a sum of all that thing.
Okay.
But you're even more than that. It's just understanding there's so much more to you than you actually even understand. So when you don't understand that, you start to have a lower view of yourself. And if you have a weak self-image, your self-image is your Geiger counter. Okay, so an example of that would be like a temperature, like a thermometer, right?
Yeah.
If I set this place at 21 and I open the windows and it's cold out, the temperature drops. And guess what? It'll kick on the heater.
Yes.
Okay, and it'll bring it back up. If it's hot outside, right, and the temperature starts going up, it'll turn on the air conditioning to bring it back down. If most people's self-image is really low, majority of the people on this planet is very low. So guess what? Even if they consciously start to pump their own tires up, something subconsciously will help bring them back down because that's where they think they belong. So that's why they resort to whatever work they do, or they'll never want to grow and expand. That's why they'll pick a partner that will confirm their unworthiness. And that's why they attract what they attract, because the outside world is a reflection of your inside world.
Yeah.
Right? And if you look at how you manifest in this world, you manifest, so whatever the 3D reality is showing you is happening, and this is for every single person on this planet, is happening. And if you reverse engineer, it's manifestation, right, is based on what vibration you're in. Because that's what pulls it from the quantum field into this 3D reality. Okay? So how do you know what vibration you're in? Is based on how you feel. Your emotions. E-emotion, energy, emotion. Okay? How do you know what creates your feelings? What creates your emotions? Is your thoughts. What creates your thoughts are your beliefs. What creates your beliefs is your programming, your subconscious programming. Now, what creates your subconscious programming, and we were talking about this earlier, is hereditary, It's called hereditary miasm. Things passed on as far back as 7 generations, so genetically.
That's crazy.
Insane. Okay, then you have past lives, which I believe. Some people don't believe that. That's fine. Then you have your programming from your life, right? From birth to 7 years old. Your subconscious mind's wide open. And it's just a sponge taking in information. Okay, so your culture, your religion, your life experiences, the order of birth, being a man or a woman, or anything else in between, whatever you believe you are, and like in the time you're raised in.
So we're programmed.
100%. Every single person on this planet is.
Can we reprogram ourselves during our lifespan?
Absolutely. Because what people don't realize is they give up their mind so easily. So if you watch hours of TV or you're on social media for hours and you're not consciously aware of what you're putting into your mind, then you're being programmed. And the problem is you're being programmed with stuff that doesn't actually probably correspond with what you actually desire. So that's why it's a lot easier to make a customer out of a person if they feel shitty about themselves. Right? If that person feels crappy and they have a low self-image, then they feel like they need those true religion genes. They'll need that certain makeup. They'll need their hair to be a certain style. That guy needs that car for women to like him. He needs to wear Axe spray for a girl to even look at him. That's what they think.
Yeah.
That's what they believe because that's all you see. And you visually are taking that in. You consciously see it. It penetrates your subconscious mind over time because it's repetitive. Because repetition is the key to penetrate a subconscious mind or a traumatic event. Like that, boom, kicks in, right? So obviously, let's choose repetition, better choice, right? But if you watch hours, an average person probably watches 3.5 hours of TV, right? And not even counting your social media stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're not following or watching things that empower you, uplift you, educate you, correspond with your goals, you're actually hindering yourself. And that's what I keep seeing.
And that happens a lot, especially lately. I think, look at TikTok. You start with one TikTok and all of a sudden you blink and it's been 2 hours, right? 100%. It's crazy. You just insane. Go into it. And knowing how to control that, I think, is key.
Very key.
And what you were saying about us being programmed and all of these things that we're talking about, I always like to bring it back into business because there are a lot of people that watch this podcast that are in business, starting business, or thinking about getting into business. And I always, when I'm one-on-one, just talking to people, as I'm an older guy now, and
so wise,
the gray hair, I always try to. It's basically I reflect back in my experience, and now being 45, and if I'm talking to someone that is thinking about going into the path of business, I always try to bring all of these questions up because it's not just business people. It's not just knowing, I know how to do this well, this is going to work for me. But if they're not good with themselves. Coughing. If they're not good with themselves, if they're not balanced enough to be able to talk to their clients properly, to connect with their audience properly, their business isn't going to work. Everybody keeps on saying, you got to top 10 tricks to do on social media to get more clients. Bullshit. It's bullshit. Because that doesn't matter. What matters is the connection you make with people.
Absolutely. So I feel like with that, when we're talking about business, a couple of things would be, I would say, one is obviously master your craft, right?
That's always a good idea.
Very good idea. Okay. I would master your craft, number one. Number two, again, fall in love with you, right? Because if you're in love with yourself, you see the outside world as you see yourself. So you see the good in people, and that comes across. That energy comes across. And people feel that, and they get magnetized to you. Okay, especially, and I know this is a weird thing. People do meet each other one-on-one. It's a crazy concept. It's not just online, right? So it's like you have to know how to talk to people in person. Right? Some people don't know how to make eye contact. Some people are scared to shake hands, or they give the dead fish handshake and right? So it's like, well,
lately it's been are we fist bumping or we don't know what to do.
And I get it, right? So it's just like, I'm a handshaker, I'm a hugger, I'm a toucher, right? Like it's just a cultural thing. Right? So it's like, okay, like whatever, it's fine. But when I meet these people and they barely look me in the eye, and I'm like, how would I ever trust you? Because you don't have any confidence within you. You've already told me that.
100%.
Right? So if you don't even know the basics of that, you're in trouble. Then if we're talking about social media stuff, again, how do you come across? What are you sharing? This, that. These type of things are like a big part of the whole thing, too.
I think people confuse and put social media in a different place.
Yeah.
When my point of view, and let me know if you share this,
Sure.
is it's just a vehicle to doing the same thing.
100%.
If I'm connecting with somebody on social media, you need to connect in a real way.
Yeah.
Because it will come across.
Absolutely.
Even if you're just writing something.
Sure.
It's going to come across. And I tell this to my clients as well. Like, don't just post for the sake of posting. Put something useful into it, right?
Yeah.
Because people will see it. And I agree with what you're saying. Look people in the eye. Yeah, it's social media. Well, the way that you're going to look people in the eye is by being true.
Yeah.
Right? By being yourself.
Be authentic. Right?
Yeah.
Be yourself. Be truthful. And share your knowledge. Share who you are. Share your gift.
Exactly.
Because it is a gift and we need it.
Do you have clients that come to you asking for help? I mean, we've talked about life coaching, but in business specifically, have you had examples of that?
You know what? I have in terms of more financial, not the business. Because I'm not really a business coach.
Well, they're kind of correlated,
and
right?
they do correlate, right?
Yeah.
So one of my clients, she does psychic reading. Mm-hmm. Okay. And she does coaching on how to connect with your intuition and spirit guides and stuff like that. Totally different, okay?
Yeah.
So the skill set she has is great. I told her, you need to master it, though, because if I know nothing about nothing and I come to you, I'm going to trust you because I'm going to pay you money to coach me to do it because if I'm interested in that. Yeah. So you better know how to do it so you can teach me, because if you don't, then you're wasting time and money. And she was great.
Yeah.
Okay? So now, but her vibration with money was terrible.
Meaning her business skills weren't there.
No. Meaning like what you attract in terms of money. Because you could be great at what you do. You could be a master at it. You could have a great social media platform, blah, blah, blah. But if your vibration with money is terrible, you're not going to attract money. Because money is a vibration. It's just a frequency, just like anything else on this planet.
Energies, right?
Energy. It's just a different word, right? Frequency, energy, vibration, right? All the same thing. So think of money has ears. It's always listening.
Money.
But if you have what I call a poverty mentality, I don't care how skilled you are, you will push money away. So I'll use myself as an example. So in my programming, my parents were raised poor. So at least generationally, I would say 2 generations were in poverty. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then you have the genetic aspect of the programming. Okay.
Yes.
Then you have what my parents learned. It's like save every penny, work hard, but don't spend anything. And okay. And even when I opened this business, they were scared shitless. I didn't even tell them I was opening the business until it was done.
And that's where the gap starts happening too, right?
That's right. So because I already knew, they'd be like, "Oh, why don't you do this? What if no one comes?" Like, because they're in a poverty mentality, they're in fear. Okay, cool. So awesome. Then you get into the religious part of it, right? Very spiritual kid. You learn, hey, I was raised Roman Catholic, and they say, hey, your number one job on this planet is to be the best person you can be so you can go to heaven. I'm like, shit, sign me up. I got this shit down pat. Let's do it.
No problem.
Cool. Then all of a sudden you hear things like, it's easier to find a needle in a haystack than a rich man go to heaven. So I'm a little kid thinking, holy shit.
Oh, damn.
I can't get to heaven if I'm rich, or it's going to be harder. So what makes you rich? Money. So money must be bad. Boom. That's my program in my subconscious mind. Burnt in.
Interesting.
Fast forward to a young adult. Man, I want to make cheddar. I want to be the Portuguese P. Diddy. I want to be V. Diddy. Okay? And it just was, but it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Now, I was educated, hardworking, a nice person, but my vibration with money was terrible. On a vibrational level, subconsciously, what I'm vibing out to the universe is that money's bad. Don't give me any more clients. Don't give me any more money.
Or I'm afraid I'm going to lose it, or I'm not going to have enough.
Not even going to lose it. Not even that. It's more, if I get it, I can go to heaven.
Oh.
On a subconscious level.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Then once I figured out why I'm blocking money on an energetic level, or I think it's the root of all evil and stupid shit like that, right? Or you have to work super hard to get it and blah, blah, blah. These belief systems are all subconsciously programmed. So once I realized where it came from, you have to learn to forgive anybody who made you feel like that. Okay. Not that it was their fault, but right? And you have to change your self-image around that subject and change your belief system around it. Saying like, money's great because money is going to amplify who you are. If you're a great person, you're going to be an even better person because you help more people. If you're a piece of shit, you're going to be a bigger piece of shit. It just amplifies who you are.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it.
Agreed.
So you could you could be a master at what you do, great platform. Everything could be there. But if you do not have a great relationship vibrationally with money, you will, what I call, cock block yourself energetically.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to do that.
No, that's not the way to go. No, I agree 100%. Do you still see people being influenced by the older generations, by people around them, or is it also because they always say, who are you with? Who are your friends?
The 5 people you hang out with the most are the sum.
Talk a little bit about those energies of the people around you.
So that will play a part too. Whether it's your family, your friends, that type of stuff. And people have a tough time letting that go because as you're leveling up and your goal, say it's a big goal too, right? As you level up as a human being, and let's say the people around you are not open to leveling up, two things will happen. It's either you're going to stay in the same vibe and you're not going to reach your goal, or these people will slowly be away from you. And it's not a bad thing or a good thing. It is what it is. Birds of a feather flock together. Mm-hmm. Okay, so these sayings, misery loves company. These are sayings that are essentially talking about like attracts like. It's a vibrational. It's a universal law of vibration, law of attraction. So two things get connected because they're on the same vibe, right? So if this person has a poverty mentality or just is okay with the basics, and that's cool. It doesn't make them a bad person. It's just that's their vibe. But if you're a person who's ascending to have this successful business, make money, help people, whatever your jam is, cool. I have no problem with that. But you cannot be around this person too often. Because what's going to happen is, what you hope would happen is that person would level up with you.
Yeah.
Which would be the best scenario. But a lot of times it's a lot easier to pull someone down than pull someone up.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Like one of the things that I've learned, and again, this is me talking and I want to get your opinion on it.
Sure.
I do this a lot. I talk a lot.
It's okay.
But it's you know, a lot of times I used to be told, put the negative people aside. Don't spend time with them. Mm-hmm. And that information came to me as like more of an actual action of putting these people aside so that I can move forward. And it does make sense, or it did make sense to me, but I then moved on to something different.
Okay.
Focus on my goals.
Yeah.
Focus on where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Focus my energy on that. And whoever wants to come with me, comes with me.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that whoever isn't in that frequency or that energy level keeps dropping off.
Yeah. It will naturally happen.
Naturally.
Yeah.
So as opposed to going, okay, Joe, I'm not talking to you anymore because you're a piece of shit. You're bringing me down, man. Like, no.
See, I agree with that. And I think that's how people would take that.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh, I got to get rid of all my friends. And
because then Joe's going to be upset.
Yeah.
His energy is going to be extremely negative towards you because now you're the ass.
Yeah.
Because you just told him that he's not good enough to be around you.
Yeah.
And I feel like that stirs up like a whole whack of shit.
Yeah. And I think you're right. That's the wrong way to approach it. And I think that's what people misunderstand. Because then the other person's be like, what, you don't think you're better than me? You think? And that's not the case.
That's not the case. It's just different goals in life, right?
That's right. So it's like, if you're with your buddies, like, and you're like, you used to, on the weekdays, hang out at Tim Hortons parking lot and chill and have a coffee with them, right? Or, you go to the gym together or whatever. You did all these sort of things and you party on the weekend. Cool. Obviously, when you're younger, those are the things you did, right?
Fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, I'm going to start my business. I'm going to do this. And I'm speaking from experience too. Guess what? I don't have the time. And some of my buddies are really busy with their goals in terms of whether it's family goals or whatever. And that's cool. We just can't hang
Different
out as
choices
often.
now.
And that's okay. I don't hate them for it. They don't hate me for it. And if they did, guess what? I wouldn't give a shit either. Because I am so laser focused on my goal. My purpose is the most important thing over everything. Right? Because a person with purpose cannot be stopped. But if you don't have a purpose, you're kind of like a nugget in the toilet of life. You're just a big floaty.
Oh, great.
A turd. Just floating around.
We all want to be turds.
Yeah, and life becomes shitty, right? Like, that's just the way it goes. But you need purpose. You need to know 100%. What you're going for. And people, like you said, you put it well. If people want to come with it, cool. If you don't, that's cool. They're not bad people. Like, say with my personal friends, like, I've known guys since elementary school, like kindergarten. That's how long I've known these guys for.
Yeah.
And guess what? We don't see each other all the time. But when we do, it's like we left off just yesterday. And it's such a beautiful thing.
And I feel like if you do go on that route of life of doing you, and you will filter all the wrong people away from your life.
It happens naturally.
Yeah, and it will just be better and less, because I find that a lot of people are afraid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Oh, I don't want to change because I know that ultimately this person will stop talking to me, because 100%. Then they'll think it's all they think that I stop. I always tell people, stop doing that, man. Stop thinking about what other people might be thinking.
Like you nailed it. And again, whether we're talking about friendships, even relationships
or family.
Yeah. So you see, like, oh, if I start leveling up, I won't talk to these certain friends, or my family members will think I'm this, that, or even my significant other might be like, yo, like, you know, I miss the old version of you. Right. And I'm seeing this more often, literally. Like, I had 3 women talk about the podcast I did a couple weeks ago. And I was talking about how we're talking about relationships, men and women, and how men, naturally the average guy, gets complacent. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's pros and cons, right? We live in law of duality. So it's kind of like, if a man has man boobs gut, he'll still think he's the sexiest man alive.
Absolutely.
Which I love. How you doing?
How you doing?
So I love it. Okay. And then they're okay with the basics. Steady paycheck, roof over the head, clothes on their back, food on the table, occasional lay, and they don't get their balls busted when they are doing something, whether they're like watching hockey, working on their car. If they're like, feel free to...
All those check marks are there.
Mint.
Yeah.
That guy is content.
Yeah.
He's actually really happy. He doesn't need a Lamborghini. He doesn't need all that stuff. He just needs the basics. And that guy's actually really happy. Yeah. Actually happy. My problem with the men that are like this is they stop growing. You're either growing or dying. You're either moving forward or moving backwards. There is nothing in between. Okay. And that's my only issue, because they don't think anything's wrong. And there's nothing wrong. I want them to still do that, but want to grow. But the problem is, why fix something that's not broken? That's what men tell me.
True. But I agree with you. You have to grow. No matter what you decide you want to grow.
Yeah. It could be in your spirituality. It could be in your business. It could be in your fitness level. It could be in a sport you're playing. It could be your relationship. It doesn't matter what.
And you're never too old, people. You're never too old.
Absolutely. So there's always some form of growth that's there that you need to connect with.
Yeah.
And women find that attractive. Okay. Because women constantly want to expand and grow. Okay. So that's the good thing about them. The con about women is it's never enough. Oh, well, you have 1 kid. Why don't you have 2?
Yeah.
My husband doesn't do this enough. Or, I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not a good enough mom. No, man, Emily, you're good enough. What do you want? Oh my God, you're amazing. You're a goddess. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
So like for the women, when I coach them, like, yo, man, I love that you want to grow. But the problem is you need to know and be content with what you currently have now. Because to those who have, more will be given. To those who don't, that they have and more will be taken away. So what does that mean? To those who have, more will be given means if you're content now with the basics, you're blessed. Yeah. You feel gratitude. So guess what? If you're in a state of gratitude for what you currently have and what state your body's in and all that type of stuff, guess what? God will give you more because you're in a state of gratitude. And whatever you desire in the future and you have in your mind's eye now and you feel like you have it now and you are that person now, the universe will deliver. That they have, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And then that they have and more will be, to those who have, more will be given. That's that part. And to those who don't, that they have and more will be taken away. So if you don't even appreciate what you have now, right? If you don't appreciate what you have now, guess what? You don't even have it. You don't even appreciate it. It doesn't matter you have it.
Yeah.
And guess what? You're in a vibe. If you want more, you probably won't get it. And even if you do, you still don't appreciate it. So you'll lose it anyways.
Who puts more of these walls in front of themselves? You find that between men or women? Walls of,
what kind of walls?
I'm not pretty enough, or I don't have.
Women.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Really?
Like I said, guys are okay with the basics. Like I said, the guy could have man boobs and gut. He's just like, I could do it.
Have you seen a change in men lately?
Lately, younger guys,
Okay.
because of social media.
Okay.
Now, if the guy doesn't have a six pack, he's not ripped, he's not this, he thinks he's not good enough.
Okay, because I've been noticing that. That's why I asked the question, right? I've been noticing it on the younger generation. You're 100%.
Yeah.
The older guys now, what I find is I'm seeing more and more, when I say older, it's like in their 40s.
Yeah, so I would even say 35 up.
Okay.
That's what I see.
That now are starting to shift their mentality as well. They're thinking, because there was, this is my opinion. I used to see guys that were in their 35, 40s. That's it. Like you said, that's it. I'm good.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing more and more joining the gyms and practicing martial arts or doing whatever.
Yoga or something, yeah.
And this shift, I think, is a positive one.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this will continue. Do you still see a lot of pullback in the old ways, or do you predict that this will be a trend that is going to continue and going to grow bigger?
I think it should go bigger. And I do see it slowly, but it has to be for the right reasons. Like if you're going in and you want to just be a better version of you, like I said, like if guys are still stick to that, like kind of like a positive masculine, you love yourself no matter what. You're okay with the basics, but I want to grow. And same with the women. I want women to still strive for more and be like that boss babe and love yourself unconditionally. But you got to love yourself who you are now. And you got to accept for like the good things, the basics. And if they can meet in the middle, it'd be perfect. So like you're saying, these people who are maybe a little older going back, trying to improve, that's what it should be like. But it's got to come from a positive place and why you're doing it. Not that you're not good enough. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, the problem is, especially with men, men are being way too feminine. Like they're connected to feminine energy way too much.
Okay.
And
explain that.
So right now, like the levels of testosterone are so low in men. Like 90% of men have low testosterone.
Oh, really?
Right. And 1/3 of men are infertile. The average 22-year-old in 2020 had the equivalent testosterone levels of a 67-year-old back in 2000.
Oh, damn.
Okay, so that's on a physical plane, and I look at it from a physical, mental, and spiritual plane. On a physical plane, men have low testosterone. What's that going to do? Their mental game is going to be totally off. Okay, and they're going to come from more of a female energy, and what they attract is going to be very different. Okay, so women don't want other women unless they're lesbians.
Okay,
and they're attracted to masculine men, and they whether they know it or not. You need some form of duality. You need some polarity, right? And you're seeing these guys doing things from a very feminine energy.
Is that because they would just want to? They think that's what's going to please the woman? Is that the?
So even in everyday life, like you said, I'm going to go to the gym and look a certain way, and I'm going to do my hair. Yeah, but you got to come from a masculine energy. Not like, oh, I'm so pretty, and like I see guys taking pictures on Instagram. Unless it's your business, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah,
be a man. Like you're not a woman. What the fuck are you doing? Right? And that might offend somebody. I don't give a shit if it offends somebody. That's reality. Because you start to act more like a woman, your woman's going to be turned off.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. Men don't know how to be men anymore. And women don't know how to be women anymore.
I think society today, we're seeing so much confusion being thrown out there and so much pressure from all of these different groups. And listen, I'm the first one to respect everybody's opinion and what everybody, know, and if you decide to be A, B, or C, or D, or Z, whatever you want to be, I'm okay with that. But stop putting pressure on somebody else if they're not the same as you.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And that's where I feel like today's society is having an issue, and I think men and women are having issues finding out who they really are.
Yeah.
Because they're not focusing on themselves, they're focusing on these groups and what they're saying and how the energies from the groups are coming around.
And that's what makes it so confusing. So
it is confusing.
You're being taught to be a certain way from all these different society norms, okay?
Yeah.
That are the new norms. And my thing is, the reality is you have to understand who we are at the root. So if you come into this world as a man and you identify as a man, all that stuff, and I honor people who don't, that's fine. 80% of men want to be in their masculine energy. They do. It's just a natural state for us to be in. But if you don't know how to get there and your body's not following suit because of whether it's foods we're eating, the mindset we're doing, the clothes we wear, the chemicals we run into on a daily, which are all part of why on the physical level testosterone's low. You're going to be very disconnected or pinched off from your masculine energy. Women, again, hormonally are all out of whack too because it's affecting them. And they are being taught to be more masculine, right? They're taught to be connecting to their masculine purpose, which is work and make money and provide. Right? Nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that. The problem is they're getting confused because they're getting disconnected or pinched off from their feminine purpose, which is relationships, family, like nurturing.
So what are the solutions to balancing all of this up?
Good question. So I look at it from, you got to recognize that there's an issue.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
First step.
First step is awareness. You got to recognize, be like, okay, there's an issue here. Second thing is like, okay, well, I have no problem someone connecting. Like if a man's connected to his feminine energy, it's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're predominantly are meant to connect to your masculine. You have to learn what that means and what that looks like. And guess what? That's going to change. If you change it on a mental and spiritual level, your body will respond to it. And that's where I go deeper into my Men of Vitality program, because it's not just about what you eat, how you work out. I have all that stuff in the program, but it's how you think, because your body is a reflection of your mind. And if you don't even know how to think and what that means, then you don't even know what you're striving for. Your body doesn't know what to do. As a woman, I'm fine with connected to your masculine purpose too, because we're in the day and age where you need two incomes and all that stuff. And that might excite you to connect to your masculine purpose. And whether you're working in the corporate world or working a certain job or creating your own business, I love that. But don't forget your feminine purpose, especially as you come home. Like one of my clients, she's in the corporate world. She's a total boss babe, kicks ass, takes names later. Love her. Okay. When she's in that world, she needs to be in her masculine energy. Totally understand. When she comes home, she needs to be in her feminine. But the problem is she didn't know how to switch it. And her boyfriend, who loves her unconditionally, great guy, would naturally defer back to his feminine. And then she would be like, yo, and then she'd be like, yeah, man, I don't know. He's acting weird and it's turning me off. And I'm like, yeah, but you're setting the tone. You're walking in there waving your energetic dick around. Right? Yeah. And you got to tuck that thing away and connect to your feminine energy.
Yeah, because otherwise, I guess in a relationship, there's a
yin and yang.
And when that is out of whack, that's when problems start coming up in relationships.
That's right.
And in business as well, right?
It works in business as well because there's no flow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's like, okay, but when you get home, you need to be in your feminine. Then automatically, when she kicked into her feminine, more like calm, more loving, more nurturing, he just kicked into his masculine. And now she feels safe and secure, because women need to feel safe and secure. If they're around a man who's in his either negative masculine, which is like more violent, more rough and tough, or if he's in his like negative feminine, like too emotional, like because most guys today are way too emotional. Yeah, like they're crying over like spilt milk, like they just bust in tears. Like certain colleges in the States have crying areas for people.
Oh, okay.
And think about it. How many years ago were these 17, 18-year-olds were fighting in war? Yeah. Now we have crying corners? Come on. Stop. Yeah. It's a little too much.
So is this why you decided to start this new program for men?
Yeah. It was like the men one stuck out to me because I was like, man, I'm seeing so many guys struggling. And when they come see me, they're in a safe place. They know like I'm here to help them. So there's no judgment. There's no nothing. So they finally feel safe to talk to another guy who's a brother. Like,
and you started this during the pandemic, right?
Yeah. I had this idea a long time ago. I just didn't have the time to put it together, to be honest, right? Which is a blessing because I'm so busy, right? But the pandemic started and we were shut down for 4 months. I'm like, this is my time. Yeah. Okay. And I created like, there was about 20 videos, get into the whole concept of, you know, like what to do. And we talk about everything. I talk about how hormones work. I talk about what the possible causes are, what to avoid. I talk about sleep. I talk about posture. I talk about chakras, like energy work. I talk about working out. I talk about food, macro ratios. It's so in depth. I talk about relationships. I talk about masturbation. I talk about sex. I talk about...
and it's interesting that a lot of the topics that you just mentioned right now, these are things that guys don't talk about.
They don't.
We all kind of think them to ourselves.
Totally.
But we don't talk to another guy about this.
No. Like maybe younger guys will talk about sex, but more like about, you know, a random one night stand, and guys feel like they're cool, right? It's like a notch under your belt.
Those are the bragging rights or whatever they want to call them, right?
men stop doing that once they're in a serious relationship.
Yes.
And the reason they stop doing that is because they actually love the woman. And subconsciously, whether men know it or not, they don't want you to picture your wife or girlfriend that way. They don't want their buddies to picture it.
100%.
It's a respect thing.
Yes.
And that's why we don't do that.
So when you started talking to men about all of these topics, I mean, it can't be easy because most men aren't used to talking to other guys about this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's just the way we're programmed, right?
Yes.
This is just a normal way of men's brain to work. It's like, we don't talk about that.
It's a survival thing.
Yeah.
So if you think about back
Because
in
it
the
creates
day-
weakness? Is that why?
Yeah. So it'd be like, let's say we're in villages and back
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
day, and whether it's, I tell you, look, there's a thing of berries, in 3 fields down. Guess what? Your village is probably going to go and take it because I just told you that little secret. Or it's like, I have a little weakness. Okay, if I attack his weakness, we take over his village. It's a protective, subconscious
Makes
thing.
total sense.
Does that make sense? So, we're not in that age anymore to do that stuff. We're in a time, thank God, where you can talk, but you should talk to only certain people. So if you have a good, solid group of men that you can confide in, they're high quality men, I'm okay with sharing your stuff with them, right? But that you have to make that judgment call. Someone like me, for sure, because I have the knowledge behind me and I'm going to help you get to where you need to go. And it's subjective. I'm not emotionally connected at all. That's okay. But then you get it. But here's the problem. Women will say, I want my man to open up. And I've challenged women on this. I go, no, you don't. And they're like, yeah, I do. I'm like, no, you don't. I literally had someone book a massage with me just to argue with me that I was wrong. Okay. Which is hilarious. So I'm just like, cool. I'm like, no, I'll tell you what you want. So I give you the example. If a man comes in from work and he had a bad day, he'd be like, honey, you know what? It was a really rough day. Some of the clients were this, that, and that. But you know what? I know what to do. And you start kind of showing that, you're coming up with a solution.
You got it. Yeah.
So that woman's like, wow, he trusts me. So that feels good to her. And he's emotionally intelligent to recognize he's feeling down. That's good. And he's solving the problem. Or at least allowing her to converse, and maybe she's coming up with something. So again, it feels like a team. She feels good. And she knows you're still in your masculine where, I feel a little down today, but I want to solve this problem. So she still feels safe around you and comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how guys interpret what women are saying is I want you to open up. So they start talking, and every feeling they feel, they start sharing. I feel sad today, and I'm so sad today. Right? And they start being like that. Okay, now all of a sudden you start communicating like a woman. Because that's how women communicate. So women almost say double the words a man says in a day. Okay? So now you start communicating like another woman. And guess what? She doesn't want to date a woman if she's straight.
Yeah.
So now you became her girlfriend, not her husband or her boyfriend. And now that's going to turn her off.
Interesting.
So even though she just asked for that. Okay, so I say that's not what you actually want. So you want to kind of share and recognize that he has emotions and he shares those things, but you want to make sure he is on top of his game. Now, there's going to be weaker points as men that we're going to have. Those are the times you share with your brothers. Share with someone like me as a professional.
Right.
To help you get out of
So the
that.
program you have, do these guys come in and talk to you in person? Is it done through videos only? Is it a mix? How does it work?
Yeah, so the first year I did it in a group. So it would be they can ask me questions whenever. I have 20 videos that go over everything, but then we go into deeper concepts on the one. I do one coaching call a week. Okay. So it was in a group setting. Cool. Pretty good. Some guys got really good results. But again, I was like, they don't feel comfortable enough to talk about when the guys are there.
I was just going to ask. Yeah.
That was the issue. So I changed it this year. So I'm giving an option where if you want to just do the program, watch 20 videos, implement what you learn, God bless, you can do that. Or if you want that plus coaching, like a 12-week boot camp that I'm going to be all over, you're going to get me once or twice a week. And we do go more in depth, and it would be one-on-one, so I can make it more personal to that person, right? Because the couple of clients I have, one guy's in his 20s, one guy's in his 30s, they have totally different lifestyles.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to make it more to what this guy needs and this guy. This guy's single, this guy's married. So I changed the one-on-one style because this guy needs something a little different than this guy. But the concepts are all still there.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, in a group setting, obviously the guys who are, okay with talking in a group, those are the guys that are going to ask the questions. And
it's usually the same guys, and they take over, which I don't
take
mind because the
over,
other guys will learn. But the
True,
other guys are not
but-
getting to open up.
Yeah.
Because they're too scared.
Okay, so it totally makes sense that you've changed that around. You've been doing this now for 2 years?
Yeah.
I'm guessing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Pandemic's been 2 long years. And so how are the results? Like,
Yeah, so results are really good.
Cool.
Some of the guys didn't really implement it, which I found very interesting. Again, because you have to implement the information. It's not just learning, right? And other guys are killing it. So if we're talking about on a testosterone level, one guy was at... So ideally, according to Health Canada, you should be between 275 nanograms per deciliter to, I think it was like 800 and something, okay?
okay.
This guy was at like 250. Like he was low, okay? And I was like, dude, any lower, I'm going to put a skirt on you, right? It was my buddy. I can talk to him like that. And he starts like, fuck you, right? So he started doing my program. And guess what? Now he's at 400 nanograms per deciliter. Okay.
So this is definitely affected by your mental state.
100%. So all the aspects. I look at the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual parts.
Okay.
So what are you eating? How you exercise? What chemicals you're using?
Okay.
That's the physical.
So you are
realm.
going through all this stuff.
All of it.
All of it.
Then we get into like the mental, emotional, spiritual part, meaning like, what's your thought process? What's your self-image like? Do you even know what would define as masculine energy? Like what makes something masculine? A lot of guys don't know, right? So we dive into that, and it's like, what's your goal? What's your purpose? What's your self-image? Like what's your self-worth? What's your, right? So all these type of things, and guys like, shit, I never even thought about any of these things before. I just was like, a lot of people we're human beings, right? So beings understanding what state you're in vibrationally, because you don't say tiger being. A tiger doesn't know what being is. It's just a tiger, okay? But we've become human doings. We're focused on doing shit, but we're not in the present moment. We're not being anything. Yeah. So it's just teaching these deeper concepts to men. And I do it in my mindfulness program. It's just different. But the men, we go into deeper concepts, and I deliver in a different way because sometimes guys don't understand so much esoteric talk. They need some like raw talk. And that's why they kind of resonate with me. Like, yeah, okay, I get what Valter's saying. So, some shit I don't understand what the fuck he's talking about, but I'm okay because I know he's a raw kind of dude. So he's going to deliver and he's going to teach me what I need to know. Okay. So it's like, you see those aspects, and then you see the other aspects. Their fitness levels improve. Their confidence improves. Their relationships improve. Because a lot of guys don't know how to deal with women.
Everything is connected. That's the way
it's so interconnected.
Yeah. Like you're saying exercise, and I'm the type of guy that if I don't exercise, my wife will tell me to go exercise because she doesn't want to put up with me. She's like,
absolutely,
go exercise, get out there, get out of here, and go do something. Because I just get irritated. Quickly, and I get stressed out quickly because I need to exercise. And I think I don't know. I'm asking the question: do most men have to go through that? Like, do we need exercise in order
100%.
to release all that stress and all that? That?
You should be doing some form of exercise. Every human should, but every man especially should be lifting weights. You don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have to do something.
You don't have to be Valter.
Get down. Get in the chopper. Okay? You don't have to do that. Okay? But you have to do some form of resistance training because you need some muscle tone. Yeah. That's what helps raise your testosterone levels. I don't care because I've run into guys who are like runners and different. Yeah. They like different things. Yoga. I'm cool with all that.
Karate.
Right? I'm cool with all that. You still have to throw in some weights.
Yeah.
Because you just need that release in a different form, and it's going to help maintain muscle mass, your bone mass, like your bone density. It's going to raise your testosterone levels and your sexual energy. It's going to be risen too.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. Like I was doing karate classes only for quite a while, which were great.
Awesome.
But something was missing, and then we started doing. They have this cardio class in our dojo, in which the guy actually makes us use weights. Perfect. And I started noticing, man, at first I was hurting.
Sure, yeah, absolutely,
because I wasn't there anymore, and I'm like, oh, this is what I was missing, because I was feeling fit. Like I felt like I was, cardio wise, I was there, I was good. but there was something missing. And then it was only after I started doing that class where there was some weights in the middle. I'm like, I was missing this part. And that's where, since then, I've started at home using weights and all of that. And I'm feeling so much better now.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize the reason why I wasn't feeling so good. But now it all makes sense with what you're saying.
Yeah. So you just nailed it. So it's like, because you're covering so many things. You're covering your muscle tone, right? Your strength. You're doing the cardio, so your heart and lungs are strong. And then like the skill of karate, and even like it's a thing for men. It's a mental thing, discipline.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people lack discipline. And discipline is the key to happiness to me.
Well, for me, it also meant that was the place I would go away where there's no phones, no nothing, because you can't have a phone when you're punching and kicking around. So
let me check this message.
So you can't, and you do need to be paying so much attention to class, because your instructors are telling you, okay, do all these 5 punches and 3 kicks. So you need to pay attention, right? So those 45 minutes I'm there, I am disconnected from everything else. And I keep telling my wife, it was the best sort of like it's a weird meditation zone that you get into, even though it's not meditation, but it's the way that I can take my mind away from the rest of the world. And I'm just there. I'm focusing on that specifically. And it's been helping me so much, right? So much.
Because if you think about like a key factor is focus, right? When you're laser focused on what you're doing right there, that will separate you from the rest of the average person, the average people on this planet. Because people lack focus. Right? If you look at every uber successful person on this planet, they have laser focus. Like there's a great shot of our video of the late Kobe Bryant on the bench, and Chris Rock and who's the other guy? Oh man, I can't remember. The white guy from SNL. I don't know. Anyway, he's a funny guy too. They're like joking around, trying to make them laugh. And the average person would probably talk to them, laugh. Yeah. Kobe Bryant was so focused. He wasn't even paying attention to them.
He didn't even know they were there.
He didn't even know they were there. He was so focused, and he was already visualizing. I can see it. He's visualizing what he had to do when he was out there next. Yeah. That's how focused like a uber successful person is. So you shouldn't be thinking about your text messages or what you have to pick up for your wife or the kids, or you have to focus on this punch I have to do. Yeah. I have to focus on my stance and my body weight positioning and
not getting punched, not getting kicked.
Not getting knocked out. Okay. So you're focusing on these things. That's a good thing. Yeah. Right. And again, that translates to other parts of your life. Right. And I think that's so key. So that's why it's so important for, we get into these deeper concepts in my men's program and even my mindfulness program too. These are things you have to learn to evolve as a human. Right. And that's why it's so important for the men, and why I pushed it, because I'm like, I'll be honest, it's a lot easier to control a group of people if you have weak men. Right. And I think, to me, not to make this controversial, but I think it's done on purpose. Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier to control a group of people when you have weak men. Right? There's no William Wallaces out there. Right? And if you have weak men, it's just like, okay. And relationships cannot work with weak men. And we're in this cycle, and it happens, I think, every 80 years, from what I understand. Strong men create good times, or hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times.
It's a cycle.
Yeah, and we're in the part of weak men creating hard times.
So, which means next wave will be good. So
yeah, we have to step up. We have to do our part.
Okay, we have to step up. Valter, last message for anybody that's listening to us now or watching us. What's your advice? What should they do in their life to help not only their life, but their business, everything in general?
Yeah. So I would say, know what you actually want. Figure out who you have to become to get it, and just go after it without fear. Because at the end of the day, and I can't remember who said this, because at the end of the day, even if you don't go and listen to everybody else and say, oh no, just be something what you don't want to be, right? Because it's more practical. You could fail that too. You could. So it's like, why not just go after what you desire and learn lessons and grow from it?
Absolutely.
Right. And that's what I would say. Like if I was giving anybody advice, like especially going down that entrepreneurial road, it's going to force you to grow.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about it. And I've considered it a blessing for myself, and I'm sure you do too, where it's like, yeah, there's going to be hard times. There's days like I've worked 6 days, 7 days a week, where I'm working like 15-hour days. And guess what? Because I love what I do, it's not really work.
It doesn't feel like work, but it does still hurt your body a little.
Yeah, your body a little bit, yeah, for sure. And there's gonna be times people are gonna look at you, you're crazy and all that, but it doesn't matter because you're following your goal, your purpose. But you need to figure out what that is, who you have to become to get it.
Yeah.
And also again, discipline. The discipline to go after it.
All right. Cool, man. Thank you so much for all of this, a ton of information you gave us, and for any of you guys that if you have more questions, we will have like the usual YouTube thing. We'll have all the links down below, but get in contact with Valter if you have any questions. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to help you guys out. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Good stuff. See you guys on the next one.
So.